Welcome back to the Veals Mail Order YouTube channel. This is Jansen. This video today is all about smoothhound fishing. This is my very first cast and I've just had a bite. It broke the lead out ever so slightly, the tip just lifted up a little tiny bit, and now I'm just holding the rod waiting for the fish to move off. I'm on a dongle rig with a size 4.0 Veals full circle hook. Let's see what comes of this one. Cast of the new smoothhound season here in the Bristol Channel, and this one's just woke up. Oh, it's amazing. I do love these fish. They really pull back. But what I'm hoping today is to give you a video all about smoothhound fishing. So we're not interested in where we're fishing, but we're interested in how we're fishing, and that is actually quite important. Now, I don't think this is a particularly big fish. Just bumping in over the rocks a minute. We should see it pretty soon. It's a nice bite anyway. Drop the rod slack and oh, she's having a good dig around in the shallows now, look. Look at that, they just don't want to give up, these fish. And it's not a big fish. And that's a shame because in the upper Bristol Channel there was a time when they were all good sized fish, and that one there is probably about 7 or 8 pound if I'm lucky. But there we go, I'll just pop the rod down for a second. And it's really important when you can to give the fish a bit of support, or at the very least, there goes the hook, pick it up just behind the head like that. So there we go. I'll bring her up to show you a second. You see how they thrash around. The smaller fish are like this, the larger fish, a little bit more docile. But there we go. Good firm grip. As I say, really not a massive fish, but gave me a good scrap. First cast of the new season, like I say. Let's go and chuck her back in the water. Here we go. Oh God, you can see she's going to go off no problem. And that's that, never to be seen again. So smoothhound rigs don't need to be complicated at all. You've seen the pulley rig before, that's all this is. So I'm just going to run you through anyway. This is a weak link system, okay? Hits the water, releases the lead. If the lead gets snagged, we lose the lead, we don't lose the rig and potentially a fish as well. Moving up away from the lead, splashdown solo clip made by Gemini, fantastic, really good bait clip. I've got a £100 Asso Classic running up to the top of the rig, a bead, a swivel, a bead, another swivel. These are Cedra X3 crane swivels, incredibly strong. The fact that they're stainless steel means you can reuse them time and time again, they're not going to rust out. And then onto the trace line, £70 Maxima Chameleon on there. Okay, down to a perfection loop, 4.0 Veals full circle hook and a frozen crab bait, and beneath the dongle there you can see the VMO solo dongle bait clip, which is perfect for the Gemini clip. So that's the rig of choice. It's quite a short pulley rig, as you can see. It's probably about, I don't know, 2.5 foot long, if that. But I've just cast a bait out there now, I've got prawn out there now, I've whipped it onto the dongle in exactly the same way. So what I like to do when I'm smoothhound fishing is alternate between baits. So crab on one cast, prawn on the next. And also, I'm fishing with Damien today, we're using one rod each on the same tripod. If you do get a pack of smoothhounds go through and you're using 2 rods, it does make it damn hard work, especially if they are bigger fish. So using the one rod, it does keep things a lot easier. So let's take a look at the rods and reels that we're using today. So as usual, I'm on the Anyfish Anywhere GBFS Pro, the Mark 1 version. I like this rod because it's got a nice soft tip and it sits out there just nice in the tide, although admittedly there's not a lot of tide there at the moment. Damien is using the Century Graphics Sport. Again, another very popular Bristol Channel rod, and you can see nice firm tip on that rod. Easy pickup for casting bigger leads, bigger baits. You know, generally regarded as a bit of a rough grounder, if you like. So that's the rods. If we move down to the reels, we've got, in my case, the good old Mangle, the Shimano Power Aero 14,000, the XSB, now superseded by the XSC. And now if we move across to Damien's reel, he has got the Pen Fathom 15 SD. So both very capable reels. Nothing wrong with using a fixed spool at all, so forget about any stigma that you might associate with that. If you want to use a multiplier, use a multiplier. If you want to use a fixed spool, use a fixed spool. But they're both absolutely fine for this style of fishing. Okay, so on Damien's reel, he's got 20-pound Varivas Yellow Sport. Fantastic line, all I used for pretty much 20 years of my fishing. And on my reel, my preferred line on the fixed spool reel nowadays, the Asso Ultracast in the orange in a 20-pound breaking strain. So that's our setup. We're both there on the same tripod, Ian Gold 7-foot super match, and you'll see I've got the new Spooligan Wingman on the side there, just in case it's needed on another day. But that's our approach. I've had that one fish so far. We did have a potential bite earlier on, but that was my first cast, my first fish of the new Bristol Channel Smoothhound season. With a bit of luck, we're going to find one that's a bit bigger in a short while.
So, as Jansen alluded to, I'm using the same sort of setup, 3-foot pulley. On this one I've got a 3.0 Varivas circle hook. No different from the 4 really, it's not a great deal in it. But again, it's elite strength, and I'm just going to whip a crab on. Nice chunky bait. I've actually whipped it on the back of one that came in originally, and I've given it a good squeeze and plenty of stuff came out, so it's good to go again. So there we go, crab.
So the temperature today is about 24, 25 degrees. We're pretty baking out here, and if you don't bring your bait out in a cool box, you're asking for trouble. Okay, now what you're seeing there in front of you is the very first Seadra 8-litre cool box that came into the country. So this thing has been abused, it's been to the moon and back, but it is still working absolutely fine. The label is long gone, the sticker's long gone I should say, but we'll take a look inside. And what have we got in there? Ice packs. Now you've got to take ice packs with you in these cool boxes to get the best out of them. It's absolutely essential. And you'll see that I've got there a bag of raw jumbo king prawns from the supermarket, brilliant smoothhound bait, and some vacuum packed frozen crabs that were left over from bass fishing. So what I like to do is when I'm bass fishing, any leftover crab, they go in the freezer and they're squirreled away ready for the smoothhound season. Now if I get into the bottom of here, you'll see, there we go, more vacuum packed crabs. So amazing smoothhound bait. You don't need fresh crab for smoothhounds. Frozen is equally as good. So as long as you get your frozen crab from a reputable supplier, or you freeze it down yourself so you know exactly what you're using, it's going to catch you just as many smoothhounds as fresh crab will, in my opinion. Well, this bait's been out there for a good sort of 25 minutes without a touch, so it's time for a bait change. You never know, there could be a dogfish sat on the end or something like that. It's been a little bit slow, I've got to say. It's been a bit quiet. You know, after that first fish, it was the kind of size fish you'd expect to be running through in packs. You know, you catch one of say 6 or 7 pounds, you'd expect there to be several of that size out there. The bigger fish are sometimes a little bit more lonesome. Well, obviously it is possible to catch the bigger fish in numbers. So my lead has come off of this rig. So what I'm going to do is just pinch the line between my fingers as I wind in, just to keep a little bit of tension on there. You don't want your main line going back onto the reel too loose. Leader knot. I'll check there's no weed. There is actually, and it's this kind of weed that causes crack-offs. So there's just a little bit of weed on there, but if I don't pick it off, it's the kind of thing that as the main line's leaving the reel, it could get skagged on that little bit of weed, and it is only a bit, but it's got to come off. So I took the casting glove off for this, and just back and forth between my fingers. It's just very sort of fibrous stuff. There we go, and that's clean. So I can now wind back onto the reel. There we go. So you can see the lead's gone, and that prawn bait is, it's looking a bit washed out in fairness. There was probably enough there to attract a fish, but always good to go for a bait change. So let's get another one out there. So here's my next one ready to go out. So that was prawn, this is crab. Remember I said I'm rotating the baits to try and get an idea of what the fish might be interested in today. So here goes. There we go, and I could see when that hit the water, the splash travelled to the left as it hit the water. That tells me there's still tide running out there, which is really important. So we are now exactly 1 hour before low tide. There's still some right to left run, so that means we're still in with a chance of a smoothhound. So I'm just going to mend this line back. We've got the wind now coming from the west, so it's pushing the bow of line that way. The tide is going that way, so I just need to, as I say, mend the line back against the wind a little bit, and hopefully the tide is going to outrun the wind. There we go, that's come round just nice. So let's get it back on the tripod and get the next rig baited up. So Damien's just had a nice bite, and it's actually gone in the bottom. Now, whether it's a smoothhound, it's pretty doubtful. They're usually quite agile fish. If you hook a smoothhound, they will pull the lead out, they'll snap the rotten bottom off if they go into a snag, but that's locked up solid. So whether something like a conger has picked up his bait and taken it to ground, that's certainly what it looks like at the moment. Well, that's why we use a weak link system. You can see there, Damien's just wound his gear back in. He's lost the lead, but he has got his rig. Well, it just goes to show what a bait change can do. I just fired that crab out probably less than 10 minutes ago. Just had a very gentle indication on the rod tip, but it was certainly a fish. And often with the better smoothhounds here, the bites are really subtle. So I'm hoping in a second we're going to see that just sort of drop slack or pull over or do something a bit more than it did, because it was literally just a couple of pulls. I'm hoping it's not a dogfish, and Damien tells me that further up the channel there's been quite a few dogfish caught over the last few days, and we don't really want to see those. Here we go, you see that? You see it's just coming up a little bit slack now. Very, very subtle bite, so I'm in no rush to go grabbing that off the tripod just yet. Is it going to go again? Now I've got another rig baited up. I've got a crab bait hanging up there ready to go out. So the one fish that I've had so far today was on the crab. So I'm kind of edging my bets that that's going to be the bait today. In a few weeks' time, prawn could be the bait. You could be getting all your bites on prawn. So it's good to have a couple of options there and vary the way you go about things. Well, I haven't seen it go again, but we'll give it a moment or two. The tide has eased off a bit now as well, so any fish that comes across the bait, it's not going to hook up quite so easily. If you've got a lot of tide run out there and a fish picks up the bait and goes off in the tide, inevitably it does hook itself. But when there's not a lot of tide, the fish can just kind of sit in one place and have a quiet munch. And if that is a smoothhound, that's probably what's going on. Here we go, that tip's moving over. See that? It's trying to pull off. Tell you what, I don't think it is a dogfish. I think it is a smoothhound, and it just goes to show how subtle those bites really are. So, oh, we're going slack. No, we're pulling back over. We're pulling, we're pulling, we're pulling. So I'm going to wind. I'm not striking, I'm just turning the handle of the reel. And there we go. Fish on. Now, that's got to be a smoothhound. Oh, it's got some weight to it. I'll tell you what, it's very sitting in one place. So after all of that, it could be a ray, which is not really what we signed up for today. Oh, gave a good kick then. Now, experience tells me that with a smoothhound, you get these kicks early on, but any second that fish could come running in towards me. It does have a bit of weight to it, I'll give it that. I remember just how subtle that bite was. It wasn't, you can see that on the rod tip now, look at that. That's really digging away. But not at any point yet has this fish tried to run in towards me, which is unusual. Certainly putting a bit of bend in the rod. Now it's swimming in towards me a bit more. Could this be the first double of the season? It would be nice. Oh, that's the lead bouncing around again. Oh God, it's so much fun though, it really is. I love fishing for smoothhounds. I think that's the lead just flicked off anyway. Right, so I've just changed position slightly to try and stop this fish running into the rocks over there. I've gone out ahead of it a bit. How big's it gonna be? Go on, show yourself. And now she's swimming back this way. Here she comes. I hope it's not another 7-pounder after all that. No, I think it's probably a slightly better one. Back and forth as they do. And look at that, I've kept the lead as well. Get your lead back as well as the fish. The way these fish move around though, oh, I love it, absolutely love it. And I think she's going to play ball and come in just down here. She's swimming in towards us, here she comes. Boom. Well, that's got to be a double, I'd say. Lovely. Ooh, flick me in the eye there. Nice fish. Right. Let's get this one unhooked and I'll show you how to deal with a smoothhound. So first thing to do, you've got to take a sling with you when you're fishing for smoothhounds. Really, really important. This is not a massive fish, okay? I wouldn't usually weigh something like this, but they're not especially thick on the ground today. So as an example, I'm going to show you how we go about it. So the nose is in the mesh pocket. Bring together the 2 handles of the sling, and you've got a Velcro flap, and you can see the fish can thrash around all it wants, it's not going anywhere. So I then grab my scales, I make sure my scales are zeroed in. There we go. And we are showing we are showing 11 pounds 13 ounces. Okay, so there we go, that's my fish weighed. I can get a couple of quick photographs. You see there's still loads of energy in the fish. So there she is. Lovely sight to see, isn't it? First double figure smoothhound of the 2025 season. Not a massive fish, but a good fight, and that's why we fish for these. They go off like the clappers. Let's get her back. Here she goes. You can just feel her starting to kick a little bit. Let's push her back and forth through the water, get some water going through her gills. And it is important to stay with the fish when it's like this. There you go, there she goes. Perfect. So you could see there, she just needed a little rest, get her breath back, and gone. Great stuff. Well, as you can see, the wind has picked up and it's got actually quite cold now. I've had to put my hoodie on. Unfortunately today, we haven't caught enough fish to keep us warm. I think a few extra fish might have done us a few favours in that department, but it has been quiet. The fish haven't been particularly big either, which is a disappointment. Usually in the upper Bristol Channel, if you get a smoothhound, it's going to be a double figure fish or close to it. Okay, so we've had one double today. It is only the start of the season, but I did expect to get a little bit more, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, regardless of that, I hope I've given you a bit of an insight into how I go about targeting smoothhounds. Of course, it's entirely up to you how you go about things. This is just my way of doing it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, please consider subscribing to the Veals Mail Order YouTube channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.